This is WION World is One. This is your prime time, and you are watching Gravitas.
Hello and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas. I'm Molly Kampir. Let's get started. Our top focus tonight on Gravitas is on that crucial meeting between the US President and the Israeli Prime Minister. Tonight we are taking you beyond the optics and looking at what's been happening behind the scenes and why this meeting could lead to an escalation. A lot depends on which path the US President will choose and whether this meeting will alter that path and to what extent. Could this meeting lead to an attack on Iran's nuclear facility? We tell you why that question comes up. Also on the show for you tonight, telling you all about the POK polls violence, a forced election in an illegally occupied territory as Asim Munir's bloody crackdown there continues. A powerful 7.1 magnitude earthquake hits Japan. We get you a detailed report on the ground situation and the latest coming in. Has Trump lost the war against drugs? We get you a Gravitas special report. What's the story behind China's first civilian drone that can reportedly fly 24 hours non-stop, fully loaded? The European wildfires may not be out for months. We tell you all that you need to know about the ground situation. Can AI cameras actually help prevent suicides and save lives? We get you the complete story. All this and a lot more coming up. Will the Trump-Netanyahu meeting change the course of the West Asia tensions? Will Trump choose a path of escalation or negotiation? And what will the two paths look like? Where will they head? And what really is Netanyahu's expectation at this point? Just to put this simply, if there were to be two teams, for example, Netanyahu has been team war this entire time, no doubt about that. He wants the Iran war to continue simply because it suits his own political interests. The Israel-October elections, after all, are around the corner. And if the war were to resume, Netanyahu perhaps would be the happiest man alive. So what's been brewing behind the scenes in the run-up to that meeting? Netanyahu reportedly is expected to brief Donald Trump on Iran's alleged efforts to revive its nuclear program at the Pickaxe Mountain complex. Before we break down what this facility is all about, this is according to a report by the New York Post. According to the report, Netanyahu is expected to tell Trump that Iran has been allegedly misleading about its willingness to resolve the conflict through diplomacy. In fact, minutes before taking off from an Israeli Air Force base for Washington, D.C., Netanyahu had declared Iran will top the agenda as far as the meeting is concerned. And according to a report by the Times of Israel, Netanyahu took off without publicizing his departure in advance and left from an Air Force base rather than the airport, the Ben Gurion airport, reportedly for security reasons. His video statement reportedly was released only after his departure was belatedly confirmed. So that's what's been happening in the run-up to that meeting. Also, remember earlier, US President Donald Trump threatened to attack the site linked to Iran's nuclear program, the Pickaxe Mountain. What is known about the site, and can Trump really destroy it? Let's tell you more about where this area really is located. It is a highly fortified facility buried deep underground near one of Tehran's main nuclear sites. That's what the location is. It's about 220 kilometers south of Tehran, and it's very close, as you can see, to the nuclear complex in Natanz, which, remember, was bombed during last year's 12-day war. As per reports, it contains 2 tunnel complexes buried deep underground, which makes it difficult as well to destroy. A core issue, remember, has been about how Tehran and Washington will actually deal with Iran's stockpile of enriched uranium, reportedly. Earlier, Wall Street Journal reported that Israeli intelligence believes Iran moved thousands of uranium enrichment centrifuges into tunnels deep inside a mountain last fall. Also, all of this coming at a time when the meeting between Trump and Netanyahu is leading to a lot of speculation. It also comes after more than 5 months since their last meeting. And a lot has happened since the last time the two leaders met, including a phone call during which Trump reportedly blasted Netanyahu. For now, Trump seems to be choosing the path of diplomacy. At least that's what it looks like. Listen in to his statement from earlier.
I have plenty of time. Their whole shoreline's wiped out. The strait is in very good shape. And we're talking right now. You know, they wanted to talk. Their people said, please don't shoot last night, the night before, 2 nights. Don't do it. You know, we're having good talks. So we'll see what happens. I think there's a good chance that something could happen.
Meanwhile, considering the optics and what's been happening on that front, earlier a video titled, quote-unquote, Where to Kill Melania was reportedly published by Tasneem news agency, reportedly an Iranian outlet considered close to the IRGC. But all the rhetoric, messaging, optics aside, will the diplomatic process between Iran and America yield any concrete progress is the big question as well. Also, Trump meeting Netanyahu after meeting Zelensky. 2 crucial meetings with 2 wartime leaders with seemingly different agendas. Zelensky wanting peace, Netanyahu wanting war. Already the battle lines of these 2 wars, the Russia-Ukraine war and the Iran-US war, seem to be merging. As of now, there seems to be a dangerous overlap as well between the conflicts in Europe and Asia, after Iran issued a major warning threatening retaliation after what it claimed was a Ukrainian attack on an Iranian commercial vessel. In fact, the Iranian foreign minister also condemned that strike on the vessel in the Caspian Sea, warning that the incident cannot go unanswered. Earlier, Trump reportedly also said, spoke about what the process has looked like so far. But then will the Trump-Netanyahu meeting lead to another escalation continues to be the big question. And which way will things go? A lot depends on the answer. Even as the first phase of the farcical election unfolded in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, the brutality of the Pakistan Army Chief's forces continues unabated. After a fresh escalation, the number of POK civilians killed has reached 67 as of now. 67 lives. Those visuals depicting a tale in itself. Chaos unfolded at a busy marketplace in POK's Mirpur as Asim Munir's forces opened fire on civilians. At least 5 to 6 people were killed even as the locals tried to run for cover. The area resounded with sounds of gunshots. Smoke was seen billowing from a nearby shop. As much as the Pakistan army may try to downplay the killings, as much as Pakistan might try and do that, the ground reality is stark. Have a look at these visuals, for example, clearly showing ambulances carrying injured protesters to hospitals. According to the Joint Awami Action Committee, the JAAC, at least 14 of its activists were killed on Monday alone. During the first phase of the so-called assembly elections in POK, over 28 others were injured. The present phase of aggression by the Pakistani forces, also coming after the JAC started that long march to Muzaffarabad. It's also worth noting here that the protests were originally ignited by that ban on this civil society group. On June 9, thousands of JAC supporters started that sit-in. It put forth 38 demands, including the abolition of 12 seats in the so-called Legislative Assembly, which are dominated by Pakistanis. However, Islamabad has preferred the use of brute force than actually opting for negotiations. And while Pakistan often makes tall claims about the area, its hypocrisy unraveled with a social media post in which the Pakistan Prime Minister extended sympathies to the people of France over the wildfires. But Pakistan's ex-ambassador to the UN, Maliha Lodhi, raised an important question. Why no sorrow over those killed in POK in that crackdown on the protesters? What about those lives? Now, bear in mind here that in the last few weeks itself, POK has seen slogans seeking freedom from the protesters, clearly earmarking the Pakistani government and the military as illegal occupiers. Meanwhile, India dubbed the POK election as a cosmetic electoral exercise and linked the ongoing protest to Pakistan's denial of fundamental rights to people. Listen in.
The current cosmetic electoral exercise is nothing but an attempt by Pakistan to camouflage its illegal occupation and hide its grave human rights violations in the region.
In fact, the JAC and Imran Khan's party, PTI, also released multiple videos showing empty polling booths across POK. And the trouble for the Munir-led military establishment is not limited to POK alone, remember. In Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, incarcerated ex-Prime Minister Imran Khan's sister Alima Khan received a grand welcome as she launched a campaign for his release. She also demanded an end to his solitary confinement and sought immediate medical care for the PTI founder, who, remember, has been in jail for nearly 3 years now. And this also raises a fundamental question. With the turmoil on the rise, Balochistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, is the POK election merely a pretense? It is a farcical election, of course. But is it also aimed at trying to divert attention away from Munir's deadly crackdown, with the allegations of massive rigging rocking even the first phase of this farcical election, in which PMLN won 9 out of 13 seats? The embarrassment for Pakistan continues to mount. Time now to take a quick look at the global headlines coming in at this hour, taking you around the world in 120 seconds.
Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz says American warplanes used Israeli bases during their attacks on Iran, reiterating that his country was prepared to retaliate if targeted. Congress MP and leader of the opposition of Lok Sabha, Rahul Gandhi, attacks newly appointed Union Education Minister Prahlad Joshi, accusing him of protecting rapists. 4 decades after Chernobyl disaster turned Italy off nuclear power, Giorgia Meloni's government is laying the groundwork to bring it back as the country seeks to improve its energy security. Uganda's health minister declares the country Ebola-free following the East African nation's latest outbreak of the viral hemorrhagic disease that infected 20 people and killed 2 of them. A rout in tech stocks on fresh concerns over the AI boom rattled equity markets. The sell-off overshadowed a further drop in oil prices after US President Donald Trump signals optimism about a West Asia deal. FIFA's governing body is working with bankers at JP Morgan to raise billions of dollars by bringing in external investors to take a roughly 20% stake in the new entity, according to FT. France hires former football great Zinedine Zidane as men's national team coach. Zidane coached Real Madrid until leaving in 2021. He replaces Didier Deschamps.
A major new assessment is raising serious questions about Donald Trump's military campaign against maritime drug trafficking. Has he lost this war? Despite dozens of strikes, hundreds of deaths, the destruction of scores of suspected smuggling boats, U.S. officials reportedly say the flow of cocaine into America remains largely unchanged. According to an internal assessment by the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, also known as DEA, and reviewed by the Washington Post, Trump's military campaign reportedly has failed to reduce either the supply or the street price of cocaine in the United States. Instead, investigators reportedly say trafficking networks have rapidly changed their methods to avoid U.S. operations. In fact, the DEA assessment says smugglers have moved away from go-fast boats, a type of small, fast power boats, and instead choosing larger vessels that reportedly stay close to the coastlines, where the U.S. forces are allegedly less likely to open fire. Not just that, the report also identifies new smuggling routes, including longer Pacific crossings, more direct Caribbean corridors, and greater use of aircraft departing from clandestine airstrips along the Colombia-Venezuela border before flying east. In fact, since September last year, U.S. forces have struck at least 67 boats, killing at least 221 people in these strikes. Pentagon officials reportedly told U.S. lawmakers in a closed-door briefing last month that the strikes in international waters off South and Central America had not reduced the purity of cocaine reaching the United States. DEA analysts reportedly say the U.S. campaign initially disrupted trafficking after it began last September, driving up the prices and triggering more drug-related violence. But then those effects proved to be temporary. The assessment reportedly concluding that traffickers adapted quickly and that the prices and availability have now returned to the previous levels. The findings directly challenged repeated public claims by the U.S. president. On at least 15 occasions, including last month itself, Trump reportedly claimed that the strikes had cut maritime drug trafficking into the United States by 97 to 98%. In an April post on Truth Social, he wrote, 98.2% of the drugs coming into the U.S. by ocean or sea have stopped. During the ongoing West Asia war, both Israel and Qatar have been at the receiving end of Iran's retaliation, being allies of the U.S. Things are different on the domestic front, though. Key Israeli opposition leader Naftali Bennett has now vowed to declare Qatar an enemy state if he becomes the prime minister again. Let's break this down. Also, let's tell you more about Bennett. He served as the prime minister from 2021 to 2022. He accused Doha of funding Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. As per reports, he also claimed that Qatar has invested 25 years in a powerful global influence operation that has caused major damage, allegedly, to Israel. It's a major statement. Bennett also lashed out at Qatar over its alleged support for Hamas. in the context of the October 7 attack, which led to the killings of about 1,200 Israelis. He said, I'm quoting here, after October 7, nothing is complicated here. Qatar is an enemy, quote unquote. That's not all. The ex-Israeli Prime Minister called Qatar a violent anti-Semitic cancer that has spread even to Netanyahu's office, quote unquote. Now, this was seemingly a reference to the Qatargate scandal. Essentially, Netanyahu's top aides were accused of taking money to spearhead a public relations campaign to cast Qatar in a positive light after the October 7 Hamas attack on Israel. Israel arrested Urich and Feldstein in March last year. While Netanyahu has dismissed the Qatargate allegations as politically motivated, Bennett often demanded his resignation over the issue. On his part, though, Qatar accused Bennett of spreading disinformation to further his own political ambitions. The country's embassy in the US said, I'm quoting, Israeli politicians who criticize Qatar should instead focus on addressing their own domestic challenges, quote unquote. Now, the ties between Israel and Qatar have been quite complex, to say the least. On one hand, Qatar hosts the Al Udeid Air Base, which is the largest American military base in West Asia. This site, in fact, has been attacked by Iran multiple times during the war. At the same time, Qatar is one of the mediators via which the US has been exchanging messages with Iran reportedly. It also played a crucial role in the Gaza ceasefire, but it's not viewed as a neutral figure as such by Israel. In fact, Israel accuses Qatar of backing Hamas, whose political office it has hosted since 2012. So that's the context. It also is pertinent to note here that Qatar is yet to join the Abraham Accords and establish diplomatic relations with Israel. In September last year, tensions between the two sides peaked after IDF conducted its first ever airstrike on Doha. In fact, which resulted in the death, remember, of 5 Hamas operatives and 1 Qatari security personnel. This triggered global outrage. In a sharp rebuke, US President Donald Trump stressed that the strike did not advance either Israel or America's goals. Initially, Netanyahu justified the attack as well.
If Qatar had wanted to, it could easily have applied much stronger pressure. That would have helped us release all our hostages already in the first months of the war. It is connected to Hamas. It strengthens Hamas. It harbors Hamas. It funds Hamas.
And while meeting Trump at the White House, though, Netanyahu called his Qatari counterpart and apologized for the airstrike on Doha and violation of the country's sovereignty. Reportedly, he also affirmed that Israel will not conduct such an attack again in the future. With Israel scheduled to go to the polls in October, it appears that Qatar as well as Iran will remain big talking points in domestic politics as well. Moving on for now, the race to expand the role of drones is entering a whole new phase. China has successfully tested what it says is its first civilian drone that can fly 24 hours, non-stop, fully loaded. What's the story here? The fact is, this marks another step in the growing use of drones beyond the battlefield. The TP-200 completed its maiden flight reportedly. It's designed for tasks like maritime patrols, supplying remote islands, and carrying out land surveys reportedly. The drone can stay in the air for up to 24 hours while carrying its maximum payload and operate across distances of up to 3,000 kilometers. The TP-200 has a service ceiling of about 7,600 meters and a maximum cruise speed of 200 kilometers per hour, reportedly. It can also take off and land within 300 meters, including from unpaved runways, making it suitable also for operations in remote and difficult terrain. Its manufacturing company says the aircraft could actually help monitor coastlines, support near-shore search and rescue missions, and also deliver emergency supplies to isolated islands and mountainous regions. Its modular design reportedly also allows it to track droughts, assist in tackling forests and grassland fires, map land and monitor forests and ecosystems in all weather conditions. Now, this is not an isolated example. Around the world, governments are increasingly turning to large drones for disaster relief, wildfire monitoring, humanitarian aid, environmental protection. Similar civilian applications are being explored in countries like the US, Japan, and across Europe as well. For China, the TP200 perhaps reflects the growing shift towards using advanced unmanned aviation not only for defense but also for public safety, disaster management, and remote area connectivity. Even as the renewed strikes on Iran have achieved precious little as such for America, and it remains to be seen what really comes out of all those moves, Donald Trump believes he is winning the war. Well, at least on social media. Trump's latest Truth Social spree saw him upload over 40 posts in 6 hours. Imagine that. Take a look now at this AI-generated photo, for example. Seeming to resemble a film poster, it depicted Trump rescuing America's first president, George Washington, from danger at Mount Rushmore with time travel. What added to this is the poster's intriguing tagline reading, "The past was about to change, history was about to be saved." Now, this, of course, is not an isolated film poster as such. Have a look at this one. Surrounded by stars, planets, spaceships, Trump looms large, was branded as a cosmic commander, quote unquote, who is set to unleash a new era. In fact, the president also continued to gloat over America's military prowess. This post, for example, showing a large Trump in the sky with military jets hovering around. Explosions can be seen rocking areas that are marked as Iran, while a caption read, "Guardians of the World." A similar version of that post depicting 5 American jets in the sky, bombing Iran seemingly. They were described as the guardian angels of the world. That's not even all. Another Truth Social post by Trump showing US fighter planes unleashing their fire on Karg Island. Look at that. Remember, the island accounts for 90% of Iran's oil exports. And we're not done. Take a look at this post. Trump is seen steering the engine of a vessel. This comes amid America's ongoing naval blockade, which is preventing ships, it claims, from entering or exiting Iranian ports. What followed next is Trump's typical playbook style. This post portraying a large Iranian vessel whose engine room seemingly is on fire, saying goodbye engine room. Another post showing the extent to which Trump is desperate to showcase his triumph over Iran. The scene depicting an Iranian vessel where the US president is seen hoisting the American flag, with the Iranian flag lying on the ground. The post proclaims, quoting, "It is our oil tanker now." Now, all of this coming at a time when the US, remember, suspended its strikes on Iran for now, citing that it was giving some space to talks. Yet again, Trump asserted that it was Iran which urged America to stop the attacks. That is a claim which Tehran has repeatedly rubbished.
You know, they wanted to talk. Their people said, please don't shoot last night, the night before, 2 nights. Don't do it. You know, we're having good talks. So we'll see what happens. I think there's a good chance that something could happen. And if it does, good. If it doesn't, we go back to doing what we were doing 2 days ago.
Shifting focus, the ocean suddenly comes alive as hundreds of giants rise from the deep, nearly 300 humpback whales gathering in one extraordinary feeding frenzy, creating a spectacle rarely seen on camera. But this stunning sight is also a powerful sign of how a species, once hunted to the brink, seems to be fighting its way back. This is a special report. Take a look.
For centuries, the ocean belonged to these giants. Then came the hunters. Harpoons tore through the world's whale populations. Humpbacks were chased across oceans for oil, meat and other products. Their numbers crashed. Now, in one extraordinary stretch of ocean, the giants are back, off South Africa's west coast. Wildlife photographers Chris and Monique Fallows found themselves surrounded by a breathtaking sight. Hundreds of humpback whales had converged in a feeding ground. They counted 299 whales. Blows erupted across the horizon, one after another. Giant plumes of spray shot into the air. The ocean looked like a living skyline.
On the 30th of December, about 100 kilometers north of Cape Town, we were greeted by what I could only describe as a Manhattan skyline, with huge plumes of whale breath greeting us like skyscrapers. And very quickly we realized we were looking at a sight we had never seen before in our lives, and that was of hundreds of whales coming together to feed in one small area. And it was truly breathtaking, not only as a naturalist, but as a fine art photographer. You dream of moments like this.
It marks the largest humpback whale sightings from one place within 24 hours. Fallows' wife, Monique, who works with him on his photographic shoots, had a different take on the unique moment.
We could hear them, we could smell them. So the funny thing about humpback whales is they actually smell really bad. So when they're in those feeding groups, they're feeding on krill, which are very fishy, and they actually burp and they fart all the time. So the smell was really overpowering. The sounds were incredible. When they were breathing all over us, we were getting drenched in whale exhalation. So it was really a sensory experience.
Scientists call such gatherings supergroups. Humpbacks are usually solitary or travel in small groups. But when food becomes abundant, they can come together in huge numbers.
Supergroups have not been seen until about 2012 when the first were kind of recorded, and it's very likely a result of a recovery of the population from whaling. So humpback whales were severely hunted to very low numbers, and so it would be a natural phenomenon to see less whales and therefore no supergroups. But as these whales recover from whaling and populations rebound, these supergroups are forming again now in our rich Benguela upland system.
The whales dive beneath the surface, hunting krill and small fish. Some populations are known to use bubble nets, blowing curtains of bubbles that concentrate prey before the whales surge upwards with enormous mouths open. Southern Hemisphere humpback numbers have climbed from fewer than 10,000 during the height of industrial whaling to more than 100,000 today. The turning point came in 1986, when the International Whaling Commission's commercial whaling moratorium took effect. But the comeback is not complete. Ships can strike whales, fishing gear can entangle them, climate change can disrupt the food they depend on. For now though, the message from the deep is unmistakable. The giants survived, and they are right now having a feast. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
On to South India now. Major developments amid heightened tensions between Tamil Nadu and Karnataka over the Kaveri water sharing issue. The centre has clarified that Karnataka does not require the consent of other states to construct the proposed dam there. Responding to a question in the Lok Sabha by the PMK leader, Minister of State for Jal Shakti, stated that the Supreme Court's judgment in the Kaveri water dispute case makes no mention of Karnataka needing approval from Tamil Nadu, Kerala or Puducherry for building any structure across the river. Further, the minister added that the centre has asked the state to submit a revised detailed project report or DPR. The minister informed that the DPR filed in 2019 has been returned to the project authorities. The revised DPR has to be in compliance with the Kaveri Water Dispute Tribunal Award and the guidelines of the Central Water Commission. Now, the development also coming amid a highly anticipated meeting between the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister and his Karnataka counterpart. The meeting is likely to take place in August. The proposed meeting would be the first direct meeting between the two chief ministers on the Kaveri issue in 14 years. The last time a similar meeting took place was in 2012, when the then Tamil Nadu Chief Minister J.J. Lalitha had met then Karnataka Chief Minister. In fact, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu share Kaveri's water, remember, under the guidelines laid down by the Supreme Court in 2018. According to the Kaveri Water Disputes Tribunal, the total water available in the Kaveri Basin standing at 740,000 million cubic feet. In the landmark verdict in 2018, the Supreme Court had allocated around 285,000 million cubic feet water to Karnataka, while Tamil Nadu was allocated around 404,000 million cubic feet. In distress years, that is when rainfall is inadequate, the Kaveri Water Management Authority and the Kaveri Water Regulation Committee are empowered to recommend revised monthly releases of water. Karnataka has proposed to build the dam to store excess water after releasing the stipulated quantum to Tamil Nadu, but the project has faced strong opposition from Tamil Nadu, which has raised concerns over its potential impact on downstream water availability. A powerful earthquake of magnitude 7.1 jolted southern Japan, sending tremors across Kyushu and as far as the southern regions of South Korea. While one person has been confirmed dead, hundreds others have been injured. According to reports, several might have been trapped and dead amid the rubble. The public broadcaster NHK has said that 30 of its employees are missing. Around 3 lakh people have been instructed to go to evacuation centers. Visuals from the CCTV footage showing the violent shaking after the tremors hit Kyushu soon after the earthquake. Japan Met Agency issued a tsunami advisory warning that waves of up to 1 meter or 3.3 feet could occur as a result of the earthquake. However, the warning was later lifted. The Japanese Prime Minister has now said that the powerful earthquake caused several injuries, ending up with collapsed buildings, started multiple fires. Nearly 40,000 homes were left without electricity. Rail services were shut as a result of the earthquake. Kumamoto Airport shut its runway, with airlines diverted, flights cancelled. Aerial footage shot from a helicopter showing a collapsed bridge, a damaged shrine, smoke rising from buildings on fire. Visuals also showing sections of the iconic Kumamoto Castle. Outer stone walls, parts of the framework crumbled under the impact of the heavy tremors. The castle was still undergoing a massive multi-decade restoration following the severe damage from the 2016 earthquakes.
How can I put it? I felt as if my body was hovering mid-air, so for a moment I didn't realize it was an earthquake. It was only when I saw it collapse, the wall, that it dawned on me that it was an earthquake.
Following the earthquake, reports emerged of what the witnesses described as an explosion at a shopping mall as well. Police said they received multiple reports of a loud blast, but the epicenter was located near the cities of Uki and Uto in Kumamoto Prefecture, at a shallow depth of approximately 10 kilometers. Warnings have been issued for Kumamoto, Nagasaki, Kagoshima and other prefectures, all on Japan's southern Kyushu island. In response to the massive earthquake, the Prime Minister has now formed an emergency task force. Authorities also assured that no immediate abnormalities were reported at the nuclear power plants after the earthquake struck. People staying in close proximity to the coast have been urged to evacuate.
本日16時27分頃
The government has established the Prime Minister's Office Emergency Response Office within the Crisis Management Centre at the Prime Minister's office immediately after the earthquake. In addition, an emergency task force of senior officials from the relevant ministries and agencies was convened.
ております。海の中にいる人は直ちに海から
But what also makes Japan so vulnerable to earthquakes is the big question. The country is located along what is known as the Ring of Fire, constituting volcanoes and oceanic trenches encircling the Pacific Basin. A tremor is recorded every 5 minutes in Japan, reportedly. In fact, Japan accounts for about 20% of the world's earthquakes of magnitude 6 or more. And this marking the third earthquake to hit Japan in the past 2 months itself. Earlier, on the 25th of June, a strong 7.2 magnitude earthquake struck off the northeastern coast of Iwate Prefecture of Honshu Island, while another 5.5 magnitude earthquake struck Greater Tokyo region. This was on the 16th of June. During the recent protests by the youth against the alleged NEET paper leak in India, many politicians, bureaucrats face backlash over their children studying or working overseas. Protesters blame the leaders and officials of being out of touch with the realities faced by the youth, while their own was studying and living in other parts of the world. This issue is not unique to India, of course. It takes place in many parts of the world. But this conversation brought the focus back on China, where an existing practice actually names and shames such acts by authority figures. Over decades, the Communist Party of China has tracked, monitored, and at times named, shamed, or cracked down on the practice of officials sending their spouses or children abroad to live or settle. Let's tell you more about this. They are referred to by the derogatory term naked officials, quote unquote. China views the issue through the lens of corruption, illicit asset flight, and personal enrichment. If an official's family is abroad, the government may also regard it as a potential national security risk, warranting scrutiny, disclosure, and restrictions. This is not, however, treated as automatic proof of guilt. This policy, however, is also not new in China. In 2009, the Central Commission for Discipline Inspection of the Communist Party of China called for increased oversight of the so-called naked officials. In 2010, the Ministry of Supervision formally introduced regulations to strengthen the management of the state functionaries whose spouses, children had both emigrated abroad. The primary focus was information gathering and enhanced supervision to prevent corruption, illicit asset transfers, and capital flight. Since then, the policies have been tightened. By the end of 2014, the Central Organization Department of the Communist Party reported identifying around 3,200 so-called naked officials nationwide, with more than 1,000 either disciplined, reassigned, or otherwise removed from the sensitive posts. The next major crackdown came in 2022, when the Communist Party of China Central Committee prohibited spouses and children of ministerial level officials from holding overseas real estate or shares in foreign companies. In the past 12 months, there have been renewed internal inspections. The wider net has also reportedly included quasi-naked officials whose children live abroad but whose spouses remained in China. In India, there is no law requiring ministers, MPs, MLAs, or senior civil servants to publicly disclose if their spouses or children are permanent residents or citizens of another country, or whether their immediate family lives abroad for study or work. During elections, candidates are required to disclose their own assets, liabilities, financial interests through affidavits filed with the Election Commission of India. Such a framework, if introduced in India, would be intended to promote transparency, accountability, and conflict of interest safeguards. It would not presume wrongdoing or corruption, nor would it actually justify sweeping conclusions about an individual's loyalty, integrity, patriotism. There is nothing inherently wrong with sending one's child abroad to study, work, or live. And doing so does not by itself amount to evidence of corruption, divided loyalties, or disloyalty to India. So should India establish a transparent disclosure regime beyond just finances? Think about this. AI is helping save lives, quite literally. In South Korea and Japan, AI-powered cameras are spotting people at risk of suicide and alerting the emergency teams within seconds. The system has pushed the rescue rates above 99%. But according to experts, technology alone cannot solve the growing mental health crisis, of course. More about this in our next report.
The Han River runs through the heart of Seoul. It is one of South Korea's most famous landmarks. But it has also become one of the country's most common suicide hotspots. Now, artificial intelligence is helping first responders act before it's too late. AI-powered cameras monitor 17 bridges across the river in Seoul. They look for warning signs, like someone standing in one place for too long or entering restricted areas, and then alert the authorities.
The role of the AI is to first detect all moving objects within the bridge. It then distinguishes whether they are people or not. If an object that has been identified as a person performs a certain action, a pop-up screen like this is displayed to our operators. The operators then check the displayed screen and determine whether it is something that needs to be monitored or whether it can simply be ignored.
Last year, nearly 900 cameras detected more than 1,200 emergencies. Most people were rescued, but 8 lives were still lost. South Korea government data shows suicide rate rose to more than 29 deaths for every 100,000 people in 2024. The World Health Organization estimates more than 720,000 people die by suicide every year worldwide, making it a major global public health challenge. South Korea is not alone. Around the world, countries are testing AI to detect people in danger. In Japan, AI systems are being used in train stations, shopping centers, and other public places to spot unusual behavior and warn security staff.
Security and station staff use this tool to monitor people's behavior, to keep an eye on people who may be in trouble, such as when they collapse or fall, or to detect signs of what is likely to happen next by identifying certain movements.
For many experts, the lesson is clear. Artificial intelligence can buy precious time. but preventing suicide still depends on people, support, and access to mental health care. Bureau Report, WION World is one.
China has reached a major milestone in global mathematics. For the first time, 2 Chinese mathematicians have won the prestigious Fields Medal, one of the world's highest honors in the field of mathematics. In fact, the achievement has sparked celebrations across the country and is reportedly being viewed by many as another sign of China's growing strength in science and technology. The 2 Chinese nationals are among the 4 winners of this year's Fields Medal, presented every 4 years by the International Mathematical Union to outstanding mathematicians under the age of 40. The other recipients are from Canada and the United States. Wong has also made history as only the 3rd woman to receive the award in its 90-year history. In fact, she earned the honor for solving a decades-old problem in harmonic analysis and geometric measure theory.
When things doesn't work out immediately, just keep thinking and working hard with the hope that eventually one day it might work.
Deng Yu, a professor at the University of Chicago who grew up in Shenzhen, received the award for his work on partial differential equations.
Looking at the outcomes, it is obvious that China's progress in mathematics has gained strong momentum in recent years.
Let's now get you one of the most powerful images of the day. Panda, the world's first proactive emotional companion robot for children, unveiled in China. Look at that. The robot maintains a temperature closer to the human body and creates an interactive experience for youngsters. Time now to get you a big question that's hanging in the air. The Trump-Netanyahu meeting in Washington has reignited speculation over the next move on Iran. The thing is, while diplomacy will remain on the table, the key question is whether the US and Israel are looking at a coordinated military strategy if the negotiations fail. Also, is the meeting between Trump and Netanyahu about peace, or is it about preparing for the next possible confrontation? That's the big question, and a lot depends on the answer. Let's also take a look at some of the major events expected over the next 24 hours that could shape headlines around the world. Global markets will closely watch as the US Federal Reserve is expected to hold a key policy meeting on Wednesday. Investors are expected to look for signals on future interest rates, with the outcome expected to influence financial markets worldwide. The Glasgow 2026 Commonwealth Games continue on July 29, featuring a heavy lineup of track and field events along with other major events like the men's long jump final and the women's 77 kg weightlifting final. Guru Purnima will be observed across various parts of the world on Wednesday. The festival is dedicated to honoring spiritual and academic teachers and holds a lot of significance in Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. And on that note, it's a wrap on this edition of Gravitas tonight. This is me, Molly Gambhir, signing off. Thanks very much for watching. Know more, understand better, think ahead. Hello and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Get the facts, not the bombast. On the 26th of March, dynamic pricing, Baloch separatists, Gravitas cuts out the clutter. Gravitas keeps calm when others scream. Gravitas brings news to life. Weekdays, 9 p.m. IST, 3:30 p.m. GMT. Gravitas. Seeing is believing.
The Israeli drone is above our heads all the time in Lebanon. More than 200,000 civilian homes have been destroyed. This looks like it used to be a toy for a little girl. Can't but wonder while I'm walking between all of this rubble, how many lives were destroyed, how many kids were traumatized, how many women lost their families. If this isn't a war crime, then what is? From the southern suburb of Beirut, I'm Radi Francis for WION World is One.
In this rapidly changing world, is your health keeping pace? Best practices and breakthroughs busting the hype with real insights. The timeless power of yoga and ancient healing. Good food, good mood. Small steps, big impact. Your health matters. Only on WION World is One. Because nothing matters more.
Campaigns, elections, alliances, controversies, and power play. Stories that analyze global and domestic politics. A dedicated show with varied perspectives, expert take, citizens' voices, detailed ground reports, and in-depth coverage from political corridors of the world. This is Race to Power, only on WION.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One. From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Know more? Understand better? Think ahead. Hello and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Get the facts, not the bombast. On the 26th of March, dynamic pricing, Baloch separatists, Gravitas cuts out the clutter. Gravitas keeps calm when others scream. Gravitas brings news to life. Weekdays, 9 p.m. IST, 3:30 p.m. GMT. Gravitas. Seeing is believing.
Vielleicht nur als